Hi, everyone. Welcome to eLearnChat, where talk, it's knowledge. Hi, everyone. I'm Rick Zanotti, and welcome again to eLearnChat. Joining us today is our venerable, very venerable co-host who just had a birthday last week, Don Mahoney. Hey, Don, how are you?
When you turn this age?
Yeah, I'm older than you. That makes me more than venerable.
I know. Your tweet said something about I was a day closer to catching up with you. Thank goodness it doesn't work that way. I have to catch up with people.
Well, it depends what kind of time zone you're on. I'm on a parallel universe, so it's okay. You are catching up.
Well, for those of you that didn't catch it, find it on the Twitter stream. But Rick sang me happy birthday and posted an audio file for your pleasure and mine. Thank you for that.
I got a record contract out of that, so that was fun.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow. Shades of Maryland in the male form.
That's true. And we've got with us today Kasper Spiro, the CEO of EasyGenerator. Hey, Kasper, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning.
Hi,
Good
Kasper.
morning and good afternoon your time. I know
Morning,
it's almost
Dawn.
about tea time where you are.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock here.
It's great. And we are excited. You've got some really nice features and new things to talk about with your product. You were on last year almost around the same time. I think it was right around, or maybe a little bit earlier, but right around that time. And from what Kasper's been telling us, his programmers have been working. They're not slacking over there. They're working very hard. And a lot of nice things. And let's start with one thing first. You were going to talk a little bit about some of the trends that you see in e-learning. We'd love to hear some of what you think about what's going on in the industry and what you're seeing and where we're going.
Yeah, because I think it's an interesting time. I think that change is the key word.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at the ASTD in Washington 2 weeks ago. And
I missed
almost
you.
every session there talked about how companies are trying to catch up with the ever-increasing speed of change and the role that learning and development is playing in that. So, and based on that, you see a number of things happening. So the learning is moving closer and closer to the business. It means that learning has to connect to the business. You see that e-learning courses are being replaced by more e-performance-like publications and tools. You see new forms of content creation, like curation, appearing. You see that people are looking more for the web for answers, so that also forces the learning department in a different position. They need to add value to the content, so it needs to be context specific and stuff like that. So I think that is a real big game changer right now. And well, we are trying to come up with solutions to help people adjust to that.
And you know, one thing we see a lot is that definitely the budgets have gone down. Budgets are tighter, and as a result, that probably is one of the reasons why businesses are really tightening up on the solution. Has to be quick work. It has to be. I notice more and more people don't care that much about how many frills or how sexy the course is. They want it to work, and they want it fast. They do want good training, but a lot of times, depending on the corporation, they just want it very quickly. And things change quickly. You know, you mentioned change right up front. In the business world, things change so quickly that it's really hard to keep up with what's going on. And if you create a massive, beautiful e-learning course that costs $50,000, $100,000 or $1 million, like some people have in the old days, 3 months later, the business requirements have changed, and that course becomes obsolete.
Who had $1 million budget? Just curious.
Hilton at one point spent over $1 million for, I think it was not reservation. I think it was a front desk system. This is back in the late 90s. They hired the cast of the original Star Trek, and that's a lot of money. And guess what? 6 months later, everything changed. They shelved it, and for a long time, Hilton didn't spend a lot of money on e-learning or even do e-learning.
My friend Kimo is there as the head learning officer, whatever his fancy VP title is.
Yeah, now they changed. That was a long time ago, but
They're spending a lot of money these days, but I don't know, about $1 million per project. That's a lot.
no, that was a lot back then. Well, there was a company called IEC, Internal External Communications, back in the 90s. That was, I think they did a $1.52 million project for Lexus on, I think back then it was 6 DVDs or laser discs. I can't remember. I think it was DVDs. And, those days are gone.
Yeah, they are.
It's hard to find that.
And that also affects the way people are developing. So the software we develop is developed in an agile way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love that. So things are written down in user stories. So I'm sort of the guy that needs to check if everything's work and come up with the ideas. So we put those ideas just in writing. So I'm not a technical guy, so I can understand them. Just a user is able to do this or is able to do that. And then the team picks that up and builds it. And 1 week later, I will see that. So we work in 1 week sprints.
Mm-hmm.
So every week we have a new product. And that also makes it possible to adjust to new developments that you discover. So, for example, we are now already working on things that I came up with visiting the ACD in Washington 2 weeks ago. And e-learning should do the same. So I'm a big fan of the Agile methodology, SAM, the book from Michael Allen, Leaving Eddie from SAM.
Yes.
I'm already proposing a long time that we should move away from Eddie or be more agile in e-learning development, because you have to be quicker and you have to be more connected to your client, whether it's internal or external. You have to be connected to the business. And that agile methodology gives you opportunities to do that. And so I think that's one of the changes that we have to do. So it needs to be quicker, but it's not that it has to be less quality. We can do it in a better way.
Right.
That's also a change that I see.
Oh, thought you were going to say something, Don.
Nope, I'm sorry, I'm typing, thinking.
One of the things about Agile and e-learning also is, people ask me, when was the last time you did a needs analysis? And I think we've done 2 in 19 years.
Oh my goodness, you just have to think about them differently than you used to, but you're still doing them, I'm sure.
Not really, not like they were in the old days. They're not formalized. People don't want to spend the money, and they usually know what their needs are. They say, look, here's what we need, get it done. I mean, we see a lot of that. Get it done quickly. And
involve the subject matter experts, the people you're targeting.
Yeah.
So that's a way to replace your whole need analysis. Have somebody present to steer the development with you.
Yeah, because in essence, when we get projects, many of the times we're working with the actual subject matter experts. They know what they want. They know what the business model or need is, and so our job is to make it happen. And that's typical today, because people don't want to spend an extra 5, 10, 15,000 to do a whole needs analysis.
I'm going to get on my soapbox.
Am I getting on your soapbox?
I'm going to climb on mine pretty soon.
Go ahead, climb on your soapbox.
That's another show. But, I mean, I think in the Agile mindset, we're always still doing instructional system design. We just have added other components and layers. And we always need to be asking questions doing checking back in with our subject matter experts and our clients and our key stakeholders. It just looks different than it used to back in the day.
Well, I think what happens now is in the old days, it used to be who, what, when, where, why, and how. And then the customer added one more thing to that. How much?
Yeah, how much, right?
How much, yeah.
And that never leaves the conversation.
Yeah. And actually, how much is,
externally.
and how much often is first? So it's how much, and then who, what, when, where, why, and why, how much? So.
The big thing Agile brought in, whatever we want to call all these, is that we're checking in more often at earlier stages. It doesn't take or negate the need for doing asking the right questions so that we develop the right product.
Well, I partly agree with you, Don, but not completely, because it's not only that we check in earlier, it's also that you check in with different things. So with Addy, a lot of the times you will do the first things in a document you design on paper. So you describe what you will build. And with Agile, you will actually build it, either in a prototype or in a simple version, and then show it to not only to the subject matter expert, by the way, but also to the learner themselves, the learner themselves.
Right.
So that gives a different feedback, because if you see the results, and I see it every week, because I design the user stories myself, and then somebody builds it, and I see it and say, that's not exactly what it should be, and then you want to change it. And on paper, that's much more difficult. So that's a big difference, I think.
But Eddie never said you had to design on paper. It's a process,
No, okay.
not
Yeah.
not an output.
Well, when Addy was developed, there was nothing but paper.
Well, it was manufacturing, so it was
Right.
the shop floor.
Right, but there wasn't much in the world of computers in those
Nothing
days.
in computers.
Yeah.
No. So this is an add-on component to
Yeah.
our world of learning development.
That's true. So, well, Kasper, one of the things that EasyGenerator does, it's actually pretty agile. The development cycle is quick, it's easy, and you've done something recently that's pretty neat. And I believe this is out already. Now it's
Yep.
web-based versus having to download a Windows.NET kind of package, and then it runs on a Windows machine. But now you've opened it up. You've got Macs, you've got Windows, you've got whatever that. As long as you're browser-based, you can do development now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it's the other change is that we brought out what we call now the starter edition, but it's also for a different audience. So one of the things that we see is that more and more non-e-learning experts are developing content,
That's true.
courses, quizzes, stuff like that. So they're non-experts. They don't know about all the complex tools that we have available and all the fancy stuff that's in there. They just want to put in their knowledge and present it to other people. So the version that we brought out right now aims at those people, and the goal is to help them create better e-learning in an easy way. Because what you see happening is that when a non-expert creates e-learning, sometimes it's really, really terrible. So it's more PowerPoint and 2 extra questions than something which you could call e-learning.
Yeah.
So that's really the goal that we went out to. So it's it's on the web. So it's completely web-based, it's responsive, all the modern techniques are in there that you need to run on mobile, tablets or whatever. But it's also the concept to support people who don't have that much knowledge about e-learning and help them, capture their content in a proper way.
That's great. And you did all this in a year, because last time you were on, it's been less than a year, and that's a lot of programming. That's a lot of work to be done.
We started in June or July, I think, with the development, and we decided to completely start over. The Windows edition goes back already 7 years, and that gives you some technical disadvantages because we chose the latest technique 7 years ago, but obviously that's not the latest technique right now. So we decided to completely start from scratch and apply all the lessons we learned in the past years and put them into the tool. So there has been done a lot of work. And one special thing is that our software is being developed in Ukraine. So we have our own company in Ukraine, our own development team. So especially lately, things are quite, hectic out there. Luckily not in the area where we are located. But I really admire the team, the work they have done, especially the circumstances they're in.
Well, I keep joking, and vendors get angry at me, but Russian programmers are some of the best in the world. They're very good.
Russian e-learning programs.
Yeah, just Russian programmers on the whole. They're very good.
Oh, programmers. Yeah,
programmers.
Yeah, well, ours are not Russian. They are Ukrainian. So
the Ukrainian. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I have
They
to make
speak
that
Russian,
distinction.
by
I
the
get in trouble. You're right. Though they were part of Russia for a long time.
Yeah, they were.
And then they're kind of maybe becoming part of Russia again.
Yeah. So I will be visiting my development team next week, so I can see how it is in Ukraine myself. So it would be interesting.
That's good. Do you want to show us some of what you've done in the latest version?
Yeah, absolutely. Shall I share my screen with you?
Sure, that'd be great. Let me switch over to you.
So you should be able to see my screen right now.
Not yet.
As you're sharing, the question in the chat room is, does it work the same on Mac as it does Windows platform? iOS,
Yeah, it
in other
does.
words?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, if you have more than one monitor, you probably have to tell Skype which one to share.
Sorry, let me check again. Share screens. So it should be this one. Is it still sharing my webcam?
Still your webcam.
Still seeing you.
That's disappointing. That's really.
Well, welcome,
home.
welcome to our world of Skype.
Yeah, well, I have to say I switched to other tools more and more often. So.
Yeah, pretty soon we're going to be FaceTiming and skipping this.
Well, we're looking at other options besides Skype, because Skype is good, but it's got some issues.
Well, and
Yeah.
Justin is our biggest challenge.
Well, that's probably going to change.
I'm afraid I have a problem because I'm sharing my screen. It says that I'm sharing, and the only thing I can do is stop sharing. So what I can do,
stop
but
sharing and then try sharing.
Have to give me 1 second. I maybe switch off my screen, my double screen.
Oh, you know what you can do is copy your screen into the one where your webcam is. If you could drag it into that one, then usually that winds up working.
Copy it or duplicate it?
No, just drag the browser into the monitor where your webcam is actually on right now, or just drag it over Skype basically, and then usually that works.
Yeah, but not today, I'm afraid.
Really
so
glad
let me
I don't
try
have
one
to
other
do
trick.
this.
I will.
Clark, can you do
my-
it at your end?
No, because he's controlling the. It's on his Skype.
Oh, okay.
This is not atypical. Usually it works pretty well, but
Yeah,
it gets confused on multiple monitors sometimes.
So what I did, I will do like that. Sorry. So I will do another attempt. Share screen. Start. Now it should work.
We got
There you go.
photobombing.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I think it's going to work now.
There we go. Let me get you full screen here. Yay.
Okay, so now I have to hide Skype because it's in my way. I'm so used to having two screens. So you can now see EasyGenerator. I think it's not full screens yet. So there it is. So you see, I'm just in the browser. I'm now using Chrome, but you can use Firefox, Internet Explorer, or whatever.
Okay.
You just go to the website easygenerator.com, you sign up, and you can start for free. We currently have 2 editions out. One is the free edition and one is the starter edition. The starter edition has some extra features like SCORM export and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if you sign up, you will get the full edition for 2 weeks for free to try out. And after that, you can decide whether to go to the free edition or to the paid version, the starter edition. And that comes for just $19 a month. So it's not really expensive.
No.
So what you see in my screen is the starting screen. So here is a list with courses, and I have a table of content that I can expand and collapse. And you see the same 2 courses are here. And I can open them just by clicking it. And then the first thing that you will probably notice is that the first thing you see is not content. The first thing you see are learning objectives. That's one of the things we do in aiding people creating better e-learning. Really focus that they have clear learning objectives, focus on how to assess them, and then only then start adding content. So this specific course, this demo course I have, has 5 learning objectives, and that's the first thing you put in. And after that, you put in the questions. And those questions are aimed at evaluating, is somebody able to perform, to reach the learning goal, or do they have the knowledge that they're supposed to have? And the funny thing of this version is there is no separate content. So you only can add content to the specific, to the questions. So the goal is that people will only add the content that people need to answer the questions. Because if you look at a lot of courses, there is so much content which is not really adding value. So that way we try to force people in a design scheme that, well, will make leaner and better e-learning.
Sure.
Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, there's too much blah blah in a lot of training courses where they just talk too much rather than get to the point.
Yeah. So you can operate the whole system from this table of content. You can add learning objectives and questions, but I want to go through it just from the main screen. That is more clear. So I have 2 courses here. I can open a course by clicking it, and then you see again the learning objective. If I want to add a learning objective, all I have to do is click the new learning objective button and type in the text. I will open one of the existing ones, and you still don't see any content. It's just the description of the learning objective. And you see a list of questions. So the first thing people have to ask themselves when they create e-learning, how do I assess this learning objective? And they have to come up with the questions for that. And if you go into a question, you see there is some question content here on the top, this part. So an introduction to the question if you want. Oh, sorry. I misclicked it. And here are the answer options. And it works very simple. So adding options, you click this orange button. So this would be an extra option. And you can select whether or not it's correct by marking it as correct or not. And that's all. Then you created a question. And if you want to remove it, you click that. So it's very simple. Right now, it's just multiple select. If you do one option, that will be multiple choice. We'll come out with a version in July that has more question types like drag and drop, fill in the blank, and stuff like that. So then you create the questions, and you see directly at the question, there's the information that will help the learner answer the question. So that's our way of helping people focus their content on the part that's really necessary. So you only provide the learning content, as we call it, that will help people answer this question. And you can add images, video, you can embed video, and it works very, very simple. And basically, you go through that process, creating learning objectives with a number of questions, and probably you have more learning objectives. And when you're done, you go to the design tab. You make a choice. Do I create a simple course? Is it a quiz or an exam? Those are the options we have right now. You can apply your own logo. You can set a mastery score, and you have tin can. So you can enable your tin can settings. But basically, what you need to do is just select the type of course or exam that you want. And then you go into publish. And we have several options, but the simplest one is here. You can just directly publish at an EasyGenerator server. So that's interesting because that's also a change because we're an authoring system. But now we're facilitating the learning.
Okay.
And we do it very, very basically. So this, it's now published, and here's a link. And what I can do, I can copy this link, put it in an email, send it to you, and then you could take this course on an EasyGenerator server. And if I enable Tin Can, I could do the tracking and tracing through Tin Can. And if I want to view the course, I just click the button. So this is would be the course that you would also see the moment that you click the link. So there is a starting page. I have to move Skype because it's in the way. I'm sorry. You start the course, and you see as first, again, the learning objectives. So also the learner is confronted with the learning objectives. So you choose an objective, you start, and you will be presented with the content first. So you read the content, and then you will be able to answer the question. So I'm not sure because I'm not an expert on lava lamp, so that was not the right one. And then you see the second question, and I happen to know that he was an architect, so I will score a point here and go to the next one. And you see I get instantly feedback on my result. I now have 20% on this learning objective. It is there are 5 questions, so if I go through all the 5 questions, it will navigate me back to the home page, and I can start at the second objective. And you will also see that I now have progress on the overall course. That's 4%. So it's a very basic course focused at creating e-learning based on the learning objectives. And there's one other really cool thing, that if I switch on my design tab, for example, to a quiz, and I publish it again by pressing this button, it will turn into an exam, or a quiz in this case. So the presentation, the content is exactly the same. I didn't change anything, but just by one click, I can change the whole thing into a quiz. So right now, I get a long list of questions that I can answer. And if you choose the exam option, this booklet will not be there, but now it is. So if I don't know the answer, well, I knew he was an architect, so I can answer that. If I don't know the answer here, I can just click that button, read the information that's behind there that will help me find the right answer, and fill in the correct answer. So it was the Astro or liquid motion lamp, I think, or no, the space lamp, that was. So, and that's really cool because you don't have to redesign or do anything. It's just selecting another form of publication, and it rolls out like that.
Is it possible to use the learning objectives just as architecture basis, or do they have to be published on screen?
So it depends. So you see that in the first course I showed, this one, the objectives, we created a template where the objectives play a central role. So they are on screen for the learner. And the second one, in the one where you just do the exam, you don't see any objectives. Only the moment that I submit, it will give me a result, and then I will see how I did on each learning objective. So that's really how you program the template that gives a form to the publication. So, and right now it's still very simple. So we have to build the 3 templates, but we are working on an engine. One, to create an interface so you can change a template to your own liking, and that will come out in the second half of this year. But we also provide the ability to create a template of your own. So you can, just present the content any way you want, with or without learning objectives, and do it in very, very different ways.
Yeah, I have stopped publishing them a long time ago, and no one even noticed. So that was why I asked the question. We're also chatting about it in the chat pod. The learners want to get right to the learning. They don't want to click through
No.
learning objectives anymore.
I agree with you that that's often the case, but still, as a designer of e-learning, you need to have those objectives in mind.
Oh
So
yeah,
you need to have
they're
them.
part of the development process, but I just don't
Absolutely.
publish
So
the
they're
book.
already there. And the other thing is, because we put them in, we also will report on them both on SCORM and TinCan. And one of the developments is that we talked about in the beginning, is that learning goes closer to the business. And it's tied more to the business goals. And your learning objectives, your learning goals are a great way to measure your progress on those objectives, on the business objectives. And it will also help you, for example, calculate the ROI. So even if you don't put them in the publication in the face of the learner, it's still important to have them and to report on them, because it will be it will be a better measurement than just a failed or a pass.
They exist, they're just not on the front screens.
Yeah. That's
how I do it.
And that's something that will be possible in the second half of the year. You can design your own publication, and you can just hide the learning objectives in the background if you want, and present progress in a different way to the learner.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So
it's a little difficult to see on the screen. It's kind of faint, so we'll encourage the learners and the people who are viewing our recording to go out to EasyGenerator and take a look. Do a free demo.
Yeah, you have a free trial of 14 days, no strings attached, and all the content you create will be available even after that in the free edition. So there will be just a few functionalities like applying your own logo. We have a review option where you can invite some people who don't have a license to review your course on the web. They will see the course with an extra ability to add remarks, and the remarks will show up in your authoring environment. So you can, just have the external reviewers in there. That is a paid feature. And also in the publication, the SCORM facility is a paid feature. So those options will not be available after 14 days if you don't decide to pay. But if you continue the free edition, all the other functionality will be completely available.
Where does the SCORM package reside then? On your server, or does it send a message back to Learning Management?
No, it will actually download to your local machine. So the moment I click it, it will download on your desktop, and then you can upload it into your LMS.
Okay.
So you have full control over that.
But you also host.
Well, we do host the courses here. We are not an LMS. We have a collaboration that's on the left.
Okay.
That's a company called Aim4U, and they're building an e-learning catalog. And you can publish either in HTML or in SCORM to them just by pressing this button. And they have much more facilities. So they have a whole system that, for example, if you want to give people access to your course to manage that, but also if you want to have them paying for taking the course, they have arrangements for that. So we are just the authoring system, and we made it very simple to share a link on the web. So that and at no cost. So that's what we sort of added, but we are not rebuilding an LMS. So that is really a partner that we have.
Are you able to embed YouTube, any of the plugins, Google Plus tracking using like Google Plus for a like and comment function? Is that available?
It will be. So we will add the ability to edit the text as HTML. So then you can add everything you want, for example, like Google Analytics code. But for example, embedding is already done. So there is also, by the way, a repository. So sorry, this is stable. So there's an image library, so you can add images. You can just upload an image from your local machine, add it to your content, and put it in. It's very, very simple. But the other thing is very easy to embed, for example, YouTube or a Vimeo code or a PowerPoint presentation that's online. I can show you. So there's this button, and all you have to do is go to a site like YouTube. And you will see that, I'm a big tennis fan, so you will see a lot of tennis videos here. So, my browser is in Dutch, but this is share. So if you do sharing and then embed, you have the code. You just copy and paste the embed code, put it into EasyGenerator, and the video is in. So, as simple as that. Does that answer your question?
And for example, if you're creating training videos and you want to put them on YouTube private, you could do that too, correct? And then just embed the private video.
Yeah, that's also possible, as long as it can find the server, so it needs to have access. But Vimeo, and there are a lot of other services around that will give you the ability to host it online, but still have it private. That's true. Yeah.
And then how long, when you have something stored on your server, let's say you go from free to paid back to a free version, is there an expiration for your courses?
There is not. No.
No,
so
okay.
it means that if you upgrade, if you want to do so it is possible to have the free edition, work in that for 11 months, then buy a license for 1 month, do all your SCORM publications, and then go back to the free edition. All your content will be there. There is no limitation. You are only not able to export it again to SCORM, but you can upgrade again if you want to do that. So if you want to,
I'm thinking for organizations who have, let's just say, annual requirements, be a great way to keep their content stored if they don't have a learning management system, and make upgrades to the courses as they need them, and then have them stored there.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the things that we will enable later on is a SCORM import. So you would be able to import your old SCORM courses into EasyGenerator and then work on them in this system. So this will grow out into the complete solution with with 10 or 15 question types and navigation facilities for branching. We will bring out quite soon a specific number of documents, so it's now really e-learning, but we also will support e-performance documents. So we will make it possible to create very simply how-to documents, but also a document to curate content. We see that as one of the developments in the ever-changing world, that all the content is available on the web, but it's just becomes harder and harder to find the correct content, and if you find it, you're not sure that it's valid. So you do have aggregation websites that will get all the content together on a certain topic, but then still you don't have a person that will advise you or tell you the story on that content and combine it. So we believe that curation will be a big thing in e-learning. And in July, we will bring out a curation publication. So as an expert, you can just share links on the web, add your comments to that, build it into a story on a certain topic, and with one press on the button, share it with your colleagues or your co-workers or your friends.
So you're talking curation. How about MOOCs? Is it going to be able to support MOOCs?
Is it able to? MOOCs, yeah,
Unlimited
absolutely.
Number of users.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog is barking.
He likes MOOCs.
I'm working from home today. Yeah, so you can create MOOCs, but we don't have the facilities to host a complete MOOC. But you can the elements that you would have in order to create a MOOC. Those you can all create later on in EasyGenerator. So there will be knowledge documents.
Asynchronous intervention.
Yeah. So there will be all kind of facilities that you need in order to facilitate learning.
And Kasper, what about, I imagine this is easy to run because it's browser-based on any kind of mobile device?
Yes, it runs on every mobile device. So I can show you so that you can see here that the content is completely responsive. So if I make it smaller, you see that it will adjust to that, and the same for higher and lower. And so it's completely HTML5 based. It's responsive, so it will look differently. It will fit on the screen of a smartphone or a tablet or a large PC. And we even will build in smart solutions. So in the publication or in the design tab, if you could, for example, tell them if this course is viewed on a mobile, please leave out the video.
Okay.
And do an image instead. So it's not just that it will be smaller, so it's a smart, responsive layout.
Okay, good.
So a question in the chat room is, can you change content based on the width of the screen? Not always the same content. So for instance, like you were saying, you can put if this, then that statements in, leave the video out, certain images. Do you have to tag them that way?
Yeah, but that's not yet possible. So it's now still the basic version. We'll come out with a more extended version, the Plus edition, in July, and later on that will have also all kind of those if then else statements, but also, for example, you could create navigation rules. We will also bring out a specific version or a specific part of the tool will enable scenario-based learning in a very, very simple way. So basically you can create a situation, you create answer options that you link to the next situation, and we'll have a graphical overview, a sort of a mind map-like overview of your scenario. So we'll have all kind of things like that which will be more complex. So later on there will be a Pro edition, as we will call it, which will have really the advanced features for the e-learning experts. And the goal is, in the end, that we will migrate our Windows users also to this version. So it needs to be as rich as that tool, and we built 7 years on that. So we have still some work to do.
Great.
We have a couple more minutes left in the show. Kasper, did you want to show anything else, or did you want to come on back to the...
Let me think. So I think I sort of covered what we did here. So what I could do is just talk a bit more about the other development that we see. So I by the way, I was just working on a presentation I have to do next tomorrow evening. Mm-hmm. So it's about the e-learning trends that I see. And I think we talked about the move to the business. The three here are, I think we all covered them. But the other things that we see is that learning becomes more and more individual. So what we see is that the learner is really taking over the control of the learning, and the learning department is becoming more and more facilitating the learner of the learner itself. And that is a huge development. So developments like bring your own device and all that kind of things are directly connected to it. But also connected to that is the personalization. So we really believe in adaptive learning. So we're also working on an adaptive master page or adaptive template that will select the content where your weak points are, and the questions where the weak points are, and push you into that direction. So it will help you focus on your weak points so you can finish a course sooner. And of course, what we talked already about, it's anywhere, anytime, and any device is one of the things that we will have. So publications need to be completely responsive, otherwise they will just not work.
Right. Very good.
Do you agree with that, those developments, that those are also the trends?
I'd say, yeah, a lot of them definitely are. Responsive, I'm not sure about. Depends on what you're building. For example, software simulations, responsive, probably not that important because it ruins the screen. But on soft skills and everything else, responsive could be very important.
Yeah.
I think the curation and big data are the big buzzes and trends. I don't see it in my organization yet, but that's what people are talking about.
Yeah. So they are big trends, and big data. I think that we're not ready for it yet, but in the long run, it becomes more and more important. So we always, with SCORM, a lot of the learning content was sort of confined to the learning management system. So you could do some analytics there, but you couldn't connect it to other data. And with TinCan that we now have, or the X API, as we have to call it, that also opened up. So that's now just an open XML database. And you can do really, really cool stuff. Let me give a simple example. One of the things that we will do, so we will put in 2 LRS streams in a course. So one LRS stream, obviously, is for the learner. So it will report to the learner on his progress. But the other one will report back to our database. So we can actually see which question is answered, what kind of answer options are chosen, and we can do all kind of analytics on that. So we can actually, in the authoring tool, advise the author on questions that are not working properly, or answer options that are not okay, because we can just do the analytics on that. And if you just have a few users, that is really hard to do, but we can sort of gather that information, and we can even, and that would be the next step, not analyze it afterwards, but advise you based on the experience we have. So I think those kind of developments with, well, big data, as it's called, can be really cool and can be really helpful. So, but it differs, well, whoever you talk to, they will have a different opinion on that. But I think also the adaptive learning, so it's what Google is doing for your life. So recently I wanted to go to the airport, and 20 minutes before I wanted to leave, my phone told me that I had to go earlier because there was a traffic jam on the way to the airport. And It just reads my mail, my agenda. I'm not sure what it gets, but it does give me that advice by itself beforehand. And that's also what we could do in learning. If you can start, if you get to know your learner more and more, and get to know him so well that you can actually present information or content to him just at the moment of need, or maybe even a bit before that. That would be cool.
I think it's so funny how people are against Google gathering data and, funneling because people are concerned about where they're selling it. But by the same token, using the same technology, we love that when we go to the Amazon online store, it knows our preferences and reminds us. And how many people are using a Jawbone or Fitbit? And my friend tweeted yesterday or a day before that her Fitbit emailed her to tell her its battery was low. So, we have to take it all if we want any aspects
That's
of
true.
this.
And Don and Kasper, we are at the end of our time. And
Okay.
Kasper, really appreciate you coming on today and telling us the new stuff. You've got to come on again maybe later on in the year, show us some of the later features. And
Would love to do that.
because it sounds like a lot of big stuff's happening around July, right?
Yeah, so July is a big month for us, but we will continue rolling out a new version after that every month. So news will be propping up every month.
Great. Maybe before DevLearn, we can have you come back on and show features and have invite people over to see you at the booth over there.
Yeah, well, that's one of the changes that that we applied. So we are not going to do shows anymore like DevLearn or Learning Technology. Okay. So we're spending our money now in the online marketing and do all the sales online.
That makes sense.
Really a change. So I do visit all those conferences, but we will not have a booth. So you just have to email me or go to the website.
Sounds good. All right, everyone. Well, have a good one. If you're in the chat room, we appreciate you being there. Jeff's in the chat room right here, and he's with us today. And if you're watching on Vimeo, please subscribe, give us feedback, and definitely keep watching. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
goodbye.